Right, so what we've done, we've got all the detail work, the cockpit's together and ready to go. So what we're going to do now is add a little bit of a wash. Excuse me, normally I would use Alclad 2's wash, but I'm going to go back to my roots a little bit here and do a homemade wash that I've been using for years. Just want a nice soft brush to use to get it over it. There we go, that'll do nicely. Let me just turn off this servo a little bit so it makes much noise. So all we're going to do, we've got our wash, and like I say, it's a home mixture. It looks dark, but it will dry up a lot lighter. There are some ingredients in this that I'm not going to tell you. If you want to know, PM me on Facebook or send me an email and I'll tell you, but I'm not going to tell you like this. And all that does, now if you're able to see clearly there, let me put that servo back on, and you should be able to see all the details highlighted there now, and it's showing lovely. So all we're going to do again, go back in, a little on the brush, just to dry it, put it all over with a nice soft brush, just paint it on, and that'll create a load of highlights inside there so that we can see what we're doing. Now we've got the main cockpit, so it's going to go all the way over the main cockpit on everything, and dull it all down, even the seats with the decals, all the areas we've done. It goes a mile. I mean, I made this up perhaps 3 or 4 years ago, I think. So I'm still using the same one. And anywhere that's going to be seen, we're just going to paint in a little bit of our wash. So that's that bit. And of course, with this part, we have the Bombay to do as well. So we'll just lay it all over. We want it to pool into places so that it creates another of these shadowy effects and just shows the detail off. That's all we're after doing. The one ingredient that I will tell you on this is Indian ink. It does work superb for this sort of thing, and it's liquid soluble, which is, well, very, very soluble in the liquids that I use. So that's that. And we've got round our doorway, that's that all in. We'll have right across the whole of the inside, very broad Norfolk, of the fuselage done, just to match it all in nicely. And of course the rear area, which would have got quite mucky and muddy. Let that go like that. And inside the wheel well itself, a bit too much in there. Just take it out if you need to. So that's that bit. And we've got just the odd bit of pieces that are floating around that are gonna need it. The doors, or the crew hatch. Well, I don't know that side, I don't know. screw hatch, and of course we've got the bomb bay doors which are still attached to the sprue. And again we'll just put that in, and what I'll do, I'll dry out and create highlights and shadows where it settles a little bit heavier than we would perhaps want, but that's all good. So that's as simple as that, putting a wash on. Very, very easy. Right, so our washers have dried up and it's all nice and a bit of added extra to the kit. So now what we're going to do is glue our cockpit section into our unit, and all we've got to do is just flood the area there like that with extra thin at the back, and we're going to drop just a little in there to hold that in that part. So that's that part nice and together. We're going to get our other half get it right and in, and hopefully this will just click together just like that, and we are ready to put our come across. We'll rub that down later. We're ready to glue this across. Now I want a little extra glue on this one, so we've got a new tub, new pot of Tamiya extra thin out ready, and all we're going to do is just hold the joint together, start it from the top of our seam and just run it down and just keep it going through. Now I've got that to that point, so now what I'm going to do is use a peg to hold that section together. I can see that it's nice and flat and everything else that I need to do to it, so I'm just going to run, literally touch it and let it flow through, to be truthful, and we can come using the edge of the brush on this inside of the tail, and run a little bit more extra thin into that area. Oops. And again a smaller peg into that area to hold it square. Now the tail's sprung out a little, so I'll just drop a small amount of glue in there to hold that part. Again, making sure there's no glue there to touch. In case I have, just hold that in there. We have the rear of the tail, so just drop some glue there and squaring up. See if I can see this. Have I done it right? There you go. Squaring up the rest and the rear edges. And of course just along the rear area, and again that can have a peg on that area there to tighten that in. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I'll just pull you out a little bit, it'll be easier for you to see what I'm doing. Get that peg back in that area, like so, to hold that. Okay, right, now we're going to run glue all along our bottom area. Plenty of glue in there, and what we'll do is, so the tail, is that grabbed now? Yeah, that's grabbed fine, so we ain't got to worry about that now. And we'll put one here to hold it nicely. Then we'll use one of our wider ones at this area to pull. Whoop. That's how it goes sometimes. Wide area. Is that going to take? No. Right. Let's use one of our other pegs and get that to glue in. Just like so. Now that'll take. Now I'll probably give that an hour or so before we take anything else apart. Well, that's looking nice. So we'll give that a little while to glue up, and then we'll come back and we'll put the nose on. Right, so we now have our fuselage together with the nose being added. It's not quite glued tight yet because I've got an edge there that I need to glue. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how I'm going to remove the seams. Now, what I use is quite a famous gentleman in this line of work, and his name is Mr. Philip Flory. Now, Flory does a nice range of sanders, sand and sponges. As you can see, we've got a proper sand and sponge. This is also a sand and sponge, but because we're going over an area where we want to keep the curve, if you like, we're going to use that. We're going to use this one to take out the major blips. It's very thin. Again, it's a sponge, so it will go across. And then we've got a polishing stick just for the main models. And just as a side thought, I'll clad 2 do the canopy seam remover set, so that's available on the website as well, so give it a look. Right, so to help me out a little bit, when I can find them, because they've done a runner, here they are, I've got my Citadel clippers, and all I'm going to do first is go across the model, not with it, across it, and just take the really heavy areas out so that there's not too much sanding to do. That was already low. Okay, so I'm just gonna move you about a bit, take you out so it's easier to see. So we're going to come in with a fine skinny stick, which is what Mr. Flory calls them, and just take out our major issues, which are the sprue marks, or the sprue gate marks I should say. So all we're doing is we're twisting the model with no pressure on the sand stick whatsoever, just to get down to where we need to be, and that's coming to it. The second one in the middle. So we're just taking it out, very little pressure being put on, if any, just moving the model around so you're not making a big hole. That's coming nicely as well. This one's slightly different because we've got some detail there. So to get this one out, we're just going to go straight across it until we literally get rid of our sprue gate. And we haven't done too much damage So there, but I'll show you how to put that back in shortly. So that's fine, they're fine. That's all flat. I'm going to leave the nose for now because it's the last thing I glued. And we're going to take the bottom ones out. As best we can. To begin with. I think there's 2 on the rear. Oh, just the one. That'll do nicely. So we'll take that out. Just like so. And you can feel if there's any ridges and what have you there. Again, I'll leave that nose, it's only just been glued. So, right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in with the very fine but soft flory major size sponge, or whatever you got, normal size sponge. And all I'm going to do, firstly with the rough side, just go up a couple of times on the bottom. Until I can see all one sort of colour plastic. Again, on this section, being careful because we've got some detail there. Again, very happy with that. Turn it over and start to polish. No problem there. Just to get rid of some of the problems. And we can now go on to a very, very fine soft sanding sponge with no pressure at all, and all we're doing is actually polishing it. We're not sanding it anymore, we're starting to polish. So it's all looking good, and then we come in with our polishing block. Now this thing is absolutely brilliant for large areas, and just going over it all. We're not doing any damage because we're not actually taking any plastic out, we're polishing what we did in the first place. Right, that's looking good. Get rid of the dust. Okay, so now we've got nearly, bring you in, the seam that we're looking for. Although you can see a black seam, that's where the paint has come through the glue. But there's no holes and there's no lips. That's what we're looking for. We've still got our nice round bottom shape. So now we come in with the white side, which is our polishing side. This will just finish it all off. And that'll be ready for the paint to go on there. So there's no difference, this is how I do it every time. So there's no difference. And there we have a nice smooth, nice shiny surface again, all set, ready for paint. So I'm going to go right the way around the model now, clean it all up, get it ready, and then we'll come back. So while our nose is drying and being sorted, I'll get everything else ready. We'll get the spinners done. Now the spinners are all been demasked and they come up lovely, so they're all ready to go. Now, if I remember correctly, we have a little bag of rubber grommets. Razor blade. Now these are for the prop. So what I'm going to do, because again our parts are painted, we're going to use our favourite Gorilla Glue. Again, let's get us some out. We want little, that's all I need. And what we're going to do, we have the inside of our prop, and on a bit butterfingers, we're going to push our rubber grommet inside. Won't need to be glued. And I messed that up, did I? See? I'm not no better than anybody else. I learn as I go, like everyone else and all. So it happens to us all. Yeah, it's coming. Sorry about the delay. Anything to make the video a little bit longer. Still can't get it. There you go. Right. So what we have is our prop. And our prop goes in first. So we'll get a little bit of super glue just around the inside of the prop, or the spinner. We get our prop. Now which way it goes in, like that, and that can then sit there. Now on our spinner plate, that's another video ready to go up to YouTube. We can see there's a hole there to match up. So all we're going to do now, because this plate goes inside, to avoid getting super glue everywhere, we're going to run a small bead right around the inside, and that will then take our spinner blade, and we just put it on gently into position and click. Job sorted. That's our prop ready to go onto the nacelle, which we've got already here. So let's have a look. Perfect. Really happy with that. He says. Putting that in. Take this off. Making sure we ain't got glue everywhere. Find the locating pin. Put it in. Drop it on the floor. Keep dropping it. Getting old. Where's it going? So what I'll do now, I'll just drop a glue extra thin around our prop, push in tight, and that will sort itself out now. So instead of forgetting what I did last time, let's put our rubber grommet in ready, like so. We get our spinner and glue, put some super glue in there nicely, push our spinner on, our prop onto our spinner, and again on the inside. Oh, I hope you can see this. I hope I haven't gone too much out of shot. There we go, and we get our spinner, checking our where it goes, and in nice and tight, and our Tamiya extra thin just to help the bond. Push that in. That will go on there nicely, and all should work well. Right, so that's that done. That's that done. The spinners are all together, looking terrific. I've put the Bombay in together so it can all be seen. It's going to look nice, so the bombs can go in there when I sprayed up. I've got window plates to put on there, which we'll do later on, but because glued, if that's glued, we'll get on with the wings. Put the wings on for this evening, and that'll be tonight, all we can do tonight. So let's have a look at our wings and how well they fit. This is my first look. Let's take you out.